Hello everybody, it's Ginger and welcome back to another video. So today I am actually doing a voiceover of a video, and you might have noticed, Ginger, why did you delete all your videos? And my answer is because I hated them. I don't actually like build ships much anymore. I just kind of hang around. Um, but this project came to my mind. So if you know me, I used to watch anime. I still kind of do. It depends on how I'm feeling, but I'm a Walking Dead girl. Honestly, I'm that show. But I used to watch this anime called Attack on Titan. It's very popular. It's very good. It's my favorite anime that I ever watched, and I cried at the end. Naturally. So what I'm doing today is very different from something that I have done ever. I've never built in this scale. I have never really built exteriors much. I'm more of an interior kind of gal. Um, but today I am building Shiganshina, which is, I don't know how to describe it, but if you watch Attack on Titan, it's this outside district, outside the walls that protects um, the rest of the inner walls from Titans, and those are the bad guys, whatever. They eat people, kind of like zombies. But anyways, today I am doing the entirety of Shiganshina, not just today, but like the series, in a 3-to-1 scale. Now you might have seen that a lot of people do like the 1-to-1 scale, or they use like mods to get furniture right, etc., etc. Um, but I'm doing a 3-to-1 scale, not only because I feel like it really captures how big the walls are. They're 50 meters high, which is a lot of feet. I don't do math, but they're 50 meters high and they're really, really thick. And somehow everyone in the Tross district still fucking dies. But anyways, today you'll see me kind of going through this, and you'll see me back and forth between this picture and my build. And like I've said, I've never built in this scale before, so this is something very new. This is something very exciting, and this is something I'm very invigorated to do. So right now I'm actually just doing like a base of the wall. So since I'm doing a 3-to-1 scale, the 50 meters high, that turns into 150 meters high because you multiply it by 3, and each block is 1 meter. So multiply that by 3. I have fun. But like one of the things I'm gonna do, what I do plan on doing is doing all the buildings outside of the wall and doing them in a 3-to-1 scale, the best I can. I might ask for a little bit of help with the scaling, but this is a single player world, so I might not get that. But I just kind of, I'm really excited. You can see me kind of going back and forth and trying to figure out how I like things and how I want it to look. I'm also notorious for being super bad at world edit. So the shocker is that you're gonna see me in this series just like totally failing at world edit. I mean, I needed this for this to work, because I knew if I was doing a 1-to-1 scale even, I'd have to do it because 50 meters and 50 blocks is a lot. So we will see how tall it gets. I do have the clouds off though, because I feel like that really would take away from the kind of scenery that I want. Obviously, it's like, yes, the clouds can like show how tall it is, but like I can't download shaders because my computer hates me. So they're not pretty clouds, so they're really blocky clouds that come with Minecraft. So I worked on this for probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours, which is actually shockingly fast because I did do a bunch of wall work in a different world for Shiganshina, but it didn't record, and it was terrible, and my entire world crashed because I tried to copy and paste it. So I just decided, hey, let's start over. I didn't really like it that much anyways, but it was a good base, it was a good practice. So you see me actually mixing a bunch of blocks together here, to find out and kind of create a texture. Even though it's maybe not the exact color of the wall in Attack on Titan, in the picture that you'll see me flipping back between a bunch of times, it's maybe not the exact color, but it is definitely like it gives the idea they're stone walls, they're 50 meters high, and you don't want it to be just pure stone. You want it to be a bunch of mixed blocks so it at least gives texture. It's giving texture, you know, so that kind of thing. So right now you'll see me here. There are these slants at the bottom of these portions of the wall that stick out in front of the main wall. It's kind of hard to describe, but if you obviously I'm talking with the video, so I'm really hoping it makes sense. But you will see me. There are these portions that dig out to support the wall better, and obviously, like if the wall make it more stable, etc., etc. Um, so obviously, we're adding that stability, and these actually are quite steep. In my other world, they were super like curved, kind of like a hull in a ship. And I didn't like that. So I was like, okay, I need to make this more steep. It looks steep in the picture, and you can see this pig hopping up and down. He hates that. Um, but it looks steep in the picture, and I needed it to be more steep, and that'll create a better um pressure point for the wall, I guess. I don't know. I watched the anime. I did not watch those pause screens though on how ODM gear worked, okay? You'll see me totally just kind of tweak it out sometimes when I have to copy and paste stuff. So I thought this wall looked pretty good. It was just like a base wall. Um, but most of this video is us working on the gate. Now the gate is that middle area right there. You see me kind of zoom in on or put my cursor around, and I was like debating here. I was like, do I do the rest of the wall or do I do the gate? And I decided to do the gate ultimately because I feel like it would have been harder. Um, and it would be one more thing I could be done with. And so I'd rather just do the entire outside of the wall, which is very, very long, especially in a 3-to-1. It's like 1,100 bucks from the front to the back. As you can see me just Googling a bunch of stuff here, like, what does this gate look like? I realized is the inner gate. And I was like, halfway through, I was like, no, that doesn't look right compared to the picture. And I was like, okay. Um, I wish you could hear me just talking this whole time. I was talking to myself and I was listening to music and I was like, that isn't right. Like I hate how that looks. It doesn't even look similar to the picture, but you can see me here actually comparing blocks that I want to use for the wall, even though I don't use them right away. I start with just using brick. And then I do turn it into something pretty. So because of the layout of the wall, it is actually very kind of bizarre. So it has like the first like third of the wall is brick, maybe the first half even, and then there's this like indented part where the gate sits, and then there is more brick on top of that. So this like gate is like inlaid into the brick, and then you have a little bit of the actual wall, like the stone, the cobblestone, those stone bricks on top of that. And I decided later on when I tried that, I was like, I hate how that looks. I'm just gonna leave it with brick. It looked a lot nicer, and I didn't want to cry when I saw it. Ultimately, I am very proud of how the gate turned out. It took a lot of um figuring out, I suppose. You can see me obviously doing that. I'm at 2 times speed here, and this video is still 30 minutes. Um, so I just tried to describe this process. It was so hard. I was like, okay, I am good at building hulls and like hull curves. I'm good at curving. I've gotten so much better with that over the years, and I've been working on ships for almost a decade now. And so I was seeing this curve, and I didn't like it. You can see me actually looking and realizing that I got the wrong gate here. And you see like other people, you see those Minecraft builds, and you see it in the you just see it everywhere. And I did watch a video where someone um did Shiganshina, and it was like a 40-minute video, and I was like, I can't compress this down into 40 minutes. It's way too much, especially when I'm doing a 3-to-1 scale. Now back to building, you can see me, I hate myself with the line that I did. So I just used the command/slash line. That's actually what I use typically when I'm doing my ships. If I really can't do a hull very nice. But I think this first one turned out okay, and then you'll see me change it a little bit later because I decided that I hated it and it needed to look better. Um, so um, you can see me just kind of trying to fill all of this in. That's one of the hardest parts about doing a line, is that you have to fill a lot of it in by hand. And I can't just use World Edit, unfortunately. And it's very sad because I love World Edit. I really do, even though I'm really bad at using World Edit, which is also just really sad. But you can see that I just despise it, but it's okay. It's okay that I have to fill in everything. And then what I'm doing here is I'm actually adding an out dent. I don't know, it's dented out. It's this part that sticks out from the wall, even though it doesn't like show that in the picture that I have. I decided that it will look better than just a flat wall. If you add, the more you add dimensions, I suppose, is the better it will look. So you can see me deciding because there's this white lines that you can see like barely in the picture, that separate the bricks from each layer because it outdents and then it indents and then it does all this sorts of things. But you can see those little white lines way at the bottom for the brief seconds that I look at the picture. And that just kind of shows the split between um the layers. It creates a layered look, and I actually really liked that. And this does not look like a gate right now, and I thought about that when I was building it. I was like, oh my god, what are people gonna think? Like, this looks terrible. I don't know what to even say anymore. But then it actually turned out really well, and I'm actually really in love with it, except for the spikes on the gate that I did. It was pretty terrible. I hate them, but it's the best I could do, so I'm gonna call it good. So now that I've frequently decided that I am going to keep changing the gate, you can see me just going back and forth between the picture, going like, what do I do? Like, I don't know what to do. But you can see just how I'm trying to, you can kind of see my thought process as this works, but obviously you can't hear me talking while I'm working, which is one of the hard things about this. But I'm listening to music, and one, I don't want to get copyrighted, and two, I don't need you people to hear me sing. Even though it's just instrumentals, I'm like a singer of instrumental music, so like, give me a piano song, I'm singing that piano. 100%. But here you can see me actually stacking the gold, which is actually like this stone wall, instead of the longer parts of stone wall that are also thinner. The gold kind of stands for that big stone wall, like the bigger sections. And it's easier to replace, it's easier to see each block. And right here, I'm figuring out how I want this inlaid stone to look. It's the gate. So I'm kind of figuring out proportions. I'm figuring out like what I want it to look like, and I'm still not really sure. You can see me like replacing it with gold block and going back to like, oh, I have to put stone on top. I really hope this doesn't look stupid. And it ended up looking stupid, so I changed it. And even though it's not like canonical, I don't care. But right now you can see me just using the bricks still, and this is because I needed that like uniform look so I can just replace everything. It is super hard to build everything and then end up replacing it later. If you're trying to do like, I don't know, the blocks I used were bricks, granite, and polished granite. So I used all those, but it would have been so hard to try to do that by hand. So thank God for World Edit. Once again, my savior, like genuinely, truly, I believe it. World Edit has been my savior. And I only started working on this today, so I'm actually really proud with the amount that I got done, especially with doing it in like an hour and a half, 2 hours. It's still 30 minutes, and I think that's crazy. And you can see me actually redoing the line here because it was not connecting in the way that I wanted it to. So what I wanted was this line to connect to that little pillar part that I had made, and I wanted that to look pretty uniform. So I redid the line and I filled it in and I was like, okay, this looks a lot better. I really like this a lot more. Um, Excuse me. And you can just see me just kind of trial and erroring this whole thing. You can see that I put this stone. You can see the inlaid stone is actually the gold right there. That is what I chose to do. But it just kind of represents something. It's not technically like, oh, hey, like, this is gold. Like, what does this mean? It represents something to me. But here, it just makes sense in my mind. But here I am actually making a uh, like, I don't know, I'm just cutting away that first layer of the brick, just so it's not so static. So I add stairs and I add slabs, and I actually ended up really enjoying the look. And I also added walls, brick walls. I really liked that. I hated how this looked, so I went in with the slabs, and I was like, okay, this looks way too curved. So I took the slabs and I did every other stair, or every stair, every curve, every other. And then I alternated that for the single section that you see me working on here. And I think it looked a lot better, even though it was still kind of really curved. I kind of did my best. It was actually really hard. But I just hoped for the best. You can see me getting the wall here, and that actually adds a lot more texture, and it created this look that I really wanted this gate to have. And I don't know what I was going for. I was just kind of winging it. But I didn't want it to look so static, so flat. So I added a lot of walls. So you can see me here outlining uh the curve of the gate, like the opening in the walls that connected to the pillar that I drew out. And then I was like, okay, I like this. And then I did it to the other side. So it would just create this look like something's outdented, something is, creating texture. And I really enjoyed that. Um, I was actually really proud of that because I'm not an exterior girly. When I play survival, I am building shacks all day long unless there's a YouTube tutorial. So I'm actually really proud of this. I used to draw, so this is actually really something I'm really proud of because I did draw a scene from Attack on Titan and I got like an A or something on it in high school, so I was really proud of that. But you can see me here, also messing up because I always, um, I guess I didn't, my plan was to stack the gold first, all the way up to where I needed it to be, and then create the, uh, colors, the textured effect with the granite, with the polished granite, with the bricks. But you can see me actually undo that quite a bit because I kept forgetting. I was like, no, I need this to be gold, and then I need to stack it because otherwise it looks weird. You want it to have this uniform pattern throughout, like with the same bricks, but you don't want it to be the exact same. Um, but you do see me figure it out here. And you can see me go, oh, I can replace 0, which is air. I can replace 0 with the blocks that I want. I did that, and I'm actually really proud of myself for figuring that out. My God, I need a drink. So here I am starting to work on the stone gate. I only realized about part way through that this was a gate, and I was like, okay. I knew there was a gate because the Attack on Titan logic came to me. It was like Titans would just get in. I was like, oh. And they, if you've seen Attack on Titan, you know. Lots of death. It's basically a horror anime, isn't it? Like, I feel like it is. Definitely would have scarred me as a child, but I started watching it. I started watching it in like middle school or my teens. So I really have no shame about that. I was pretty scarred as a child anyways. So here I am actually creating another layer of this. Oh wow, that kind of makes me dizzy. I really didn't want it to just be this flat piece of stone. Um, I thought it looked terrible. I just used really bad grammar. I thought it looked terrible, and I just, I don't know. I just wanted that to be more than just a flat wall. That is the ultimate goal that I was looking for. And you can see me trying to fix that. I have to match it on the top too. And then my inventory gets full and I lost my wand, which is like the best part. Yeah, totally. So you can see me I actually erase a lot of things by hand because I want it to be a specific way. And I do build a lot of things by hand too, especially if I can't do it by world edit, which is actually also hard because not everything is able to be done through world edit, which sucks because you can see like, oh, I have to go through and like get rid of blocks that um are like outside of the zone that I selected, if that makes sense. So you actually see me erase blocks quite a few times with my like just by hand because I need it to look perfect. I need it to look the way I want it to. And you can see me here because I have to. Okay, what am I doing here? I just watching myself and I'm like, I have no idea what's going on right now. Um, so right here, I'm actually trying to fill this in. Um, I feel like it was very empty because obviously at some point I would have had to fill in and make the gate uniform. So like the gate only goes through one part, but there's this really thick wall. But this is 3 to 1. I actually questioned myself a couple times. I was like, is this too small or is this too big? And I was like, no, it's 3 to 1. I'm just trying my best. Now, I debated 4 to 1, and then I was like, I did the math, and I was like, oh, this is terrible. I don't want to, go jump off a bridge. It was terrible. You can actually see me use really smart world edit right here because I'm actually really proud of myself for this because typically I'm really bad at copy pasting. So what I did is I wanted to copy paste like the walls that I used to outline and create texture to the other side of the gate, but I was like, okay, wait, I can't do that. I can't just flip it to the back and then paste it because that doesn't always work. You can see these bats in my way too. They're very annoying. So what I did is, since I didn't have the other side of the wall of the gate done, I did a command to find the center, and then I went up because that would be the middle point where you always have to copy paste. So you see me select the gates, the walls that I needed, and then I have to go up to that block that I made at the top, copy, flip it to the right, and then paste it and see how it goes. And so what I did is I checked on it and I was like, okay, well, obviously I messed something up, but I didn't mess it up completely. So I just missed the block that was behind the original walls. So I just copied and did the same thing. I copy pasted it. I made sure that everything was nice and smooth, everything looked the same. And you can see me, I have to fill in this area right here by hand, which is, great. And this is one of the parts where you'll see me actually erase a lot of things by hand because the world edit did not world edit. So you can see me actually realize it right here. You can see me go like, what? And then I was like, was that there before? And I was like, no, it wasn't. So I have to erase this part by hand because I have to make sure like, oh, because it went outside of the block, but I didn't want to fill it by hand because that would take a lot of time. Even though it could have just been like a gold block or something, I really wanted it to just be uniform and it would help my brain. My brain is a very scary place, so it would make my brain happy if it was just all the same and it wasn't just like filled with gold or something like that, because obviously that's not very realistic, right? But here I am adding more walls to the outside of the stone gate, which I also realized was didn't have the face of Maria carved into it like the inside part of the wall does. It's hard to describe, but you do see it in the picture that I show earlier in the video, but that's okay. You don't even have to go back. I'm just kind of talking Attack on Titan nonsense to myself at this point, but it's okay. So here I am actually doing the copy paste to the other side. So I'm flipping the whole gate, and then I'm just doing some finishing touches. And then you do see me realize too that this gate, how am I gonna fill this gate? You know, how am I gonna fill this open part? How does this gate look when it's supposed to go down? So what I did is I completely just, okay, this looks beautiful, stunning, by the way. It makes me so proud of myself. Like, not to not to be arrogant or anything, but I'm so proud of myself for that. But what I do is I actually go in the gate, and then I punch out a hole all the way to the bottom, and then I do some world edit magic. And what I do is I carve out this hole in the gate to make it how long I want it to be. Sorry, how wide I want it to be. And I kind of struggled with this actually a little bit because I had to make sure both sides were even. And you can see that they kind of are, they kind of aren't. And I do eventually end up making the gate wider, although it might not be wider, you know, you can't really tell, but coming down it would be wider. And then eventually I do decide that I want to get this right. And I actually carve out the width of the gate that I want. I was like, how long do I think this gate should be? And so I kind of just decided, like, okay, like, let's compare, let's see how big this gate will be. And I think that the size that I chose was pretty good, especially for a 3-to-1 build, especially since I've never built in 3-to-1. But what I do is I was like, okay, I don't want this gate partially down, but I do need it down enough where it covers this giant hole that I just created. So what I do is I actually do it a little below here, and make it look like the gate is like part way down or part way up, whichever way you want to think of it. And then what I do for the empty space is I get rid of it. I get rid of about half of it. And I'm like, okay, obviously, like, they have chains to work, and then I was like, okay, well, the actual block chain wouldn't work, so I have to create something thicker, something that looks better. So what I used was polished tough and cyan terracotta, and I think it actually looked pretty good. Once I kind of fixed it a little, you can see me doing every other block here, and then once I stacked it to the top, I was like, okay, that looks terrible. I'm gonna redo that. And eventually I am going to have to do like the inside mechanisms or something. You can see like in the anime with the inner wall, like the inner gate that leads into the is it Rose, I believe? Wall Rose. So you see me, I don't actually carve that face in, and that gate has the inner mechanisms, like you see the cranks and the wheels or whatever. So I might have to add those, I might not, because you don't actually see that in this part. Maybe I'll have to rewatch the whole anime again just to get it. But here I'm finishing the chains, and then you see me realize, oh shoot, well, I missed a chain. Like, I didn't do every other like I wanted to. I did like every other. So every 2 blocks or 3 blocks I did one. But I ended up having to do this and going really fast and trying to just like finish. I'm like, I want to be done for the day. It turned out really nice. I'm actually really proud of it. And here you can see me trying to find the right block to do for the spikes. And they're wooden, so I'm like, okay, wait, that's brown terracotta is stupid. Let's use wood. And then I was like, I couldn't find the spruce, so I just had to search it. I'm like, oh god, this is terrible. So what I did is I just kind of created this spiky look, I guess, and I don't know how I feel about the spruce fence on the end, but I suppose it kind of adds, like, I don't know, the spike It makes it look like more like a spike to me that like will launch itself into the ground. And eventually I will, for the inner wall, the other gate, I will eventually have that one in the ground already. But otherwise, I just ended up doing these, and it started raining, and I was like, oh, this is great. Loving this. And I was kind of trying to decide, like, oh, do I want this right up against the edge of the gate? And then I was like, no, that's stupid. That doesn't make sense. Like, that's not structurally stable or something. So I just kind of ended up stacking it, I think 3 or 4 times. And then I had to fix this little indent that came in the wall, but it did end up being really even, so I'm actually really proud of that. And that was it. I have finished the gate. I'm actually super proud of it. And I will hope to see you guys in the next part of this video.